Hello, everyone. It is Thursday's MUTV group chat. Hope you're coping okay with the lockdown. The boys are here. Maisie, Wes, Danny, and Ben. Guys, you okay?
Good morning, Stu.
Thanks, mate.
Before we carry on, I must just mention I did speak to Paddy yesterday, and he said he did ask the question, how do you manage to get everybody in the same house every morning? So he's looking at this and he thinks we're in the same house. Even though there are wildly different backgrounds and, of course, social distancing. But Paddy thinks we're in the same house. But anyway, we'll have news on that later. We are going to try and get him on, even though there's no technology in his house. But we are going to try that tomorrow. We'll see. We'll see. But let's first of all bring on our guest today, who had a fabulous career, nearly 400 appearances for United, 6 Premier Leagues, the treble, then another 300 appearances for Everton, coached at United, coached in Spain, currently the England women's manager. It is Phil Neville who's good enough to join us. How you doing, mate?
Morning, how are you, Stuart?
Yeah, we're all good. We're all good. How are you surviving lockdown?
Oh, it's not too bad, really. I mean, I think probably you're all the same. We never get this amount of time to spend at home with our families and, and just enjoy our family time. I've got to say, football is the one thing that I think we're all missing. But ultimately, when you see the tragedies every single day, you know that there's something really serious going on in the world. And with my job as the manager, we're having constant contact with our players. They're in a situation where they're training hard, but they don't know what they're training for or when they're going to come back. So I think the most important thing is that everyone just stays safe, really, Stuart.
I guess you're staying fit as well. In fact, I saw there was some controversy about a 5K time you put up. What's the truth?
No, it actually was my 5K time because I was running with my son Harvey because he's got a program off the youth team coach at United. So I've been following his program. It's been absolutely brutal, to be fair. But the time was actually the times that we did. It's just that my Strava time stopped and played up a little bit. So we screenshotted his Strava time. I promise.
Maisie's not having that. He was shaking his head.
He was probably on the bike next to him.
I was in the car, Maisie.
Do you still very much feel part of the club, though? You mentioned obviously your lads in the academy. We see them in under 18s. Does that keep you still feeling very much part of United?
Yeah, I don't think you ever leave. I think you go and do different things, but I think Man United is one of those clubs that never let you leave. You know, you always ask to functions, to dinners. Every interview that I've done over the last month. I mean, a couple of weeks ago, I think it was the anniversary of the semi-final replay. You're constantly talking about the treble, the great times we had, great teammates and players that you played with, Sir Alex, the bosses. So I think it's a club that never leaves you, regardless of where you are in the world or at any stage of your career. So it will always be that case, I think.
And you obviously been in the media spotlight over the last week or so after Birmingham, you're going to leave the England job next year. How's that been for you, first of all, in the reporting of all that?
Well, did you know, it was strange, really, because I've still got 14 months left on my contract. So when it leaked last week, I was like, well, I've still got 14 months left. I was getting messages off the players thinking that I was leaving straight away. But, it was because of the Euros decision got put back, and obviously that was my goal to manage at the Euros. First game was at Old Trafford next summer, and that because of the virus got put back. Obviously, it got out that I wouldn't be in charge then for the Euros in 2022. So ultimately, I think it's died down now, and it's just business as usual, really. So it's still a long way to go.
And I mean, I suppose it is still more than a year away. But you got any thoughts about what you might do after that? Because obviously you've got coaching experience home and abroad in a national team.
Yeah.
Lots of media work as well. I mean, how are you thinking about going forward?
Well, I think because it seems so long away, 14 months. We've got another 8 camps and maybe an Olympics to go to. So it's at the back of my mind. I think I approached it like I did when I finished my career, when I left Valencia. It's just with a total open mind. If you'd have asked me 5 years ago that I would be in charge or would have lived in Spain or been in charge of the women's national team, I would have said no way. But I'm open-minded. Whatever opportunities come my way, I will look at. But ultimately, the biggest thing is I want to finish the job with the Lionesses that I've absolutely loved.
Yeah. Do you miss any of the daily involvement of club you've done in Valencia or United or whatever? Do you miss that, or does it suit you the national national team?
No. I think what I would say is that the international management is really, really. It can be really frustrating. You get the girls or your team for 10 days, 12 days, and it is so intense. 24 hours a day you're managing, and then you let them go back to their club managers, and you can't impact them for another 3 or 4 weeks. And the best period are the tournaments when you can get them for 50 to 60 days and it feels like a club. And I think when you're young in management and you've got that energy, I think day to day is obviously the thing that I'm now next probably looking for, because of the energy, and I want to impact players more than probably what you can do at international level. But what I would say at international level, it gives you the time in between camps to reflect, review, and to learn and go and watch best practice. And that is probably the bonus of being an international manager.
And at United, obviously, Casey Stoney's done a terrific job at United's women. The team she took them from a scratch team really through to the higher echelons of the WSL. What do you make of what she has done at United and is doing at United?
Yeah, well, she was my assistant for the first 6 months. I met her straight away. I thought that this coach is going to be really top. Within probably 3 months, I knew that she was getting frustrated with having no time on the grass, no matches really to cover because of the international calendar. So obviously the job at United came out, and I said, you've got to go for it. And she's, without a shadow of a doubt, one of the best young coaches, I think, in the world, without a shadow of a doubt. The way that she went into United, and she built a team within 3 months. She then got them promotion. And then the performances this season, have been phenomenal. And I think United are very lucky to have someone with that experience and standing within the women's game, but also someone that is an outstanding coach. And I think that should be something that everyone should know.
Phil, what's the difference then between the elite footballers, obviously for United, for the men and the women? Is there a big difference? Is it the strength?
Well, I think,
speed, or...
no, look, I think when you talk about the differences between...
You come actually so close to winning.
Yeah, we were so close, but I think the difference that I found was when you're going out onto the pitch and you're doing a training session, the sessions are no different than what you would put on for a male or a female. I think the biggest thing is when you go in the gym, or the physicality of the game. And I've got to say that the girls are improving so much because of the facilities and the coaching now and the investment that they're getting on that side. But in the summer, we were so close, and probably it was the physical side that just got to us in the end in terms of the physical power of the American girls. I mean, the American, they have an extra, I think, 110 days more contact time with their players than we have. Their full-time program, their strength and conditioning, their speed, and we've just employed their physical coach. And I've got to say that some of the stuff that they go for and the amount of time that they have to implement that stuff, it shows why they're physically better than any other team in the world. And they'll take a lot of work to catch, but the world is catching them up with the amount of investment that now Europe is putting into women's football.
Ben, Danny, where do you want to pile on to Phil while he's here?
Phil, I just want to know, when you going back to your time when you went with your brother to Valencia, what sort of effects, both positive and negative, did that have on not just you but the pair of you?
Well, people talk about that period as being really negative, but I absolutely loved it. I was already out there. I joined. The Wolves manager, Nuno Santo Espirito, had employed me as one of his coaches. He got sacked. Then Gary came in. And the 3-4 month period that Gary was there, it was just fantastic. The players loved him. We did some really good work. We had an unbelievable schedule of fixtures. We played every 3 days for 3 months, and it's a brilliant club. It's the most volatile club that you could ever wish to work for. And the language barrier, I think, was the biggest thing that Gary probably struggled with in terms of communication. You know what Gary's like, his communication is his biggest strength. But in terms of sort of like the work that he did a fantastic job. And I still tell him to this day that he should get back into management as soon as possible, because I know he was probably burnt by that experience. But ultimately, it was an experience that he shouldn't measure himself against. We had a laugh. I think at Valencia, they have this song whenever they want a manager to leave. And it's a joke within the club. They always say, the name of the manager. So it was like Neville Vettia, which means Neville go home or whichever. And there was one game when we went a goal down, 2 goals down. I think it was against Espanyol or something like that. They started singing Neville Vettia. And we both looked at each other and said, "Who they're aiming that at, me or you guys?" I think it's both. So, but it was a great experience.
I've seen interviews with him where he's insistent he will never manage again. Do you think he will?
Well, he's stubborn. Obviously, the guys that know Gary know that he makes these comments and statements, and he's very stubborn. But ultimately, I think what will happen with Gary is that he's obviously got a lot on his plate. He's involved in a lot of things, doing great work. But there'll become a day when he will get an offer like he did with Valencia, because before he got the Valencia job, he was never going to go into management. And then obviously the owner of Valencia, who's a good friend of ours, has said, "I need you." And he got excited by it. So I would never rule it out. And I still think he should go back into management and give it a go in the English Premier League or in the Championship or in English football.
Phil, with Salford, how have you found the first season in League Two, in League Football? You enjoyed it?
It's been difficult, I've got to say. Obviously, you was involved in the massive climb that we had, and every step and every jump has been really difficult and harder and more intense. I'd say that from when we first signed you, Danny, I'd say that they were the enjoyable years when there didn't seem to be that much expectation or pressure. Now there is. You're dealing with cutthroat chairman, leagues, footballers, agents, finances. And it's been a real challenge. But I've got to say, every time we go out there, you have to pinch yourself, look at the new stadium and the facilities that we've got, and the manager that we've got, who's doing a great job as well.
Yeah, it's good just to see the progression as well, because I remember I watched the clip the other day where you guys used to stand on that little stone. That has changed so much. But yeah,
and now we're sat in a prawn sandwich behind the box, aren't we? To be fair, and it's no different than the feeling we used to have at United. Everybody wants to kill us. Everybody wants to beat us. You watch one of the teams play the week before in the bottom of the league. They come and play us, and they play like Barcelona. It's unbelievable. But that's the measure of the club, really. It's the best thing that probably I've ever been involved in.
Yeah, brilliant.
Wes?
Yes, Phil. Why are you laughing like that?
Because you haven't got a question, have you?
Come on,
No, I did. No, there's a few. You know what, Phil? You was my first roommate when I joined, actually. When I started getting in the team. Can you remember that? You probably won't remember. And used to go to bed at 7:30.
7:30. And you went to bed at 7:30 in the morning.
I tell you what, no, that was good discipline for me. You learnt me a lot by doing that. Because I used to go to bed really late. And you always used to say, "There's the remote." But I could never turn it on. Can you hear me?
Was that in your first season where I roomed with you?
Yeah.
You must have been really memorable.
No, man. Do you know what? I used to just
ruined it.
I used to lie in bed for about 2 hours. You were snoring, and I just didn't move because I didn't want to wake you up.
No, that was in '99, wasn't it? No, I think it was back in the days. Like footballers nowadays, they don't share rooms together. They're all on their own rooms. They all have their own sleep patterns and the way. But it's funny with the Lionesses. When I came in, the first thing I wanted to introduce was single rooms so they could sleep when we went through different time zones. And not a single one of them wanted to. They liked the camaraderie. They liked the friendship on the camps. They liked the company within the rooms, and they just would not do that.
Yeah, and Phil was always one of the ones that always cheered me up in the morning. He doesn't know that, but whether he was, I tell you what, mate, it's probably because of you. You were probably doing something to him, so it just made me laugh, sorted me head out.
I was just wondering what you obviously still watch a lot of United. What do you think of United? And I know your pal Ollie as well.
Well, I love what's going on. I know there was a little bit of negativity and stuff, but I remember watching a game. I think it was Aston Villa 2-2, and I came away. I just saw a different type of football, faster, more energy, more forward thinking. It was actually good to watch. And you know, I'd spoke to Ollie, I'd drop him a text every now and again and saying, "Look, Ollie, you know, just keep going. I think the fans are actually liking what they're seeing." And regardless of Ollie being a legend at the club, I think what like the signings in the summer were young, they were adventurous, they give the club a little bit of energy. And I think you can see the direction now, what the club's going in. I think we've not had that probably for 2 or 3 years. And look, I think he's going to get time. He's blooding all these young players. And I think when I speak to United supporters outside the ground, I can see a genuine energy and a genuine feeling that regardless of the results or where we are in the table, I think they can see the pathway and the journey that we're going on now, because it's what we want to see as a Manchester United supporter, and we're all Man United fans. And I think we have to go away from the fact of signing these big Galacticos and all that, and and just sign good, young, hungry players that are going to come in and make this club better.
That does seem to be the policy, doesn't it? It seems to be certainly working for Ollie.
It has to be. I mean, you can't change the philosophy or the history of the club. The whole club's been successful on buying good, young, hungry players or producing good, young, hungry players. You look at the Brandon and the Masons that have come in this season. Jimmy Gardner, who's probably close. You've got so many young players coming through now, and we've got a manager who wants to put them in and build teams around them. And that, you go back to Busby, you go back to all the great managers. That's what they've done. It's not rocket science, and probably we went away from that with the previous 2 managers that we had.
But you're a United fan. Was it weird for you to come back and play against United?
I hated it. I hated it because that was, you imagine like the family. My dad wanted United to win. My mum just wanted me and my brother just to get through the game unscathed. My sister was obviously my twin sister. She sat in the Everton end, so it tore the whole family apart. And then it was just one of the games where I found it. If United won, I'd get criticism off the Everton fans for being a United fan. If Everton won, like, my family wouldn't speak to me. It was just one of those awkward situations that I wanted that game out of the way.
Your brother blanked you in the tunnel when he was the captain.
Yeah.
He was the captain. That's.
Do you know? I was speaking to him about it the other day, and it was one of the early games, and I went down the tunnel. And when you just think he's going to say hello, and he didn't, and I think, well, he's going to say something. I turned around, Giggsy, Scholes, he said hello. I think Wes was there, said hello. And then there's camera right in front of where the captains are, and I thought, oh, well, typical Gary, this is playing to the camera, playing for the show. The minute we went past the camera, seriously, he went, all right, Phil, how's it going? And I went, what an idiot. What an absolute idiot. But for the camera, for the Sky Sports and his image, he was like, I'm not saying hello to him past there. Do you know what I mean? I was like, nah, not for me, that kid.
By the way, Phil, Danny's been learning Spanish, by the way. So maybe is there a future for Danny? He's been learning Spanish. Is there a future for him out there?
I can get by, Danny. I'm not speaking Spanish on here, though.
Your English is bad enough.
Well, listen, mate. I know you've got things to do, more important people to speak to than us. But thank you so much for joining us today. We really do appreciate it. That was great fun.
Great
to see you as well.
Nice to see you all, guys.
Cheers. See you in a bit, mate.
Thank you. Bye.
Phil Neville joining us. Now, I should have done this at the start of the show, but we were busy. So I'm going to go back and have a look at the comments from yesterday's show. You remember, we had quite a lively show yesterday, and some interesting comments from you on YouTube as well. First of all, this comment is about a solution for Paddy, because remember, we want to get Paddy on. He hasn't got internet at his house. He's got a phone that you couldn't possibly have a video call on it. So this is called Paddy Solution. Send him a tablet already connected to the chat. When you hear him open it, shout to tell him to turn it on. I mean, that is a possibility, I suppose, but I think it's a bit far-fetched. We're trying our best to try and get Paddy on the show tomorrow, but we'll see. This one, Mikhail's reaction to Wes's haircut was brilliant. It was brilliant, actually. He was horrified.
Brilliant.
He was horrified. Absolutely horrified at that haircut. And this one from Amy, which is a nice one. He says, I want to say thank you so much for these videos. I'm in recovery from 2 seizures in 5 weeks with epilepsy. These videos help me relax and just enjoy the 25 minutes of laughter and memories. I really appreciate that, Amy, and I hope we have some slight hope and slight help to you. So thank you very much for getting in touch about that. This one, I've been following the group chat during this quarantine. Lots of banter. Hope Harry Maguire this week along with Marcus. Well, we can ask. Also, great show. Thanks, Ben, Danny, where's David, and of course, Stuart. If you can get Paddy on, how about Edna? I think that would be way too, that's beyond us to get Edna on as well, but certainly want to get Paddy on the show. Before we go as well, lads, just wanted to point out, you might have noticed yesterday the announcement they're going to put in 1,500 rail seats in the northeast quadrant at Old Trafford as a kind of a test case next season, so fans can stand in that corner. Maybe it might be expanded throughout the ground. Overall, guys, would you like to see fans standing in some limited way again?
Be interesting. I think my first trip to Old Trafford, it was standing then in the scoreboard paddock. My dad used to lift me up a little bit, so it would be interesting to see how it goes. If it's safe and it works, then it might bring a different kind of atmosphere to that corner. Be interesting. I've
spent plenty of time going to away matches, Stuart, and anybody that's ever been will find that the fans, when they go to away matches, they don't sit down. They have seats, but they stand up for their entirety. And I know the away fans are different because they're so vocal and they're brilliant to be amongst, but it seems to work without any trouble, and I think it'd be a really good trial.
Absolutely, spot on. I agree. Totally, get it done, and get it. Get the Stretford end bouncing again, and if you can eventually get it into the Stretford end, I think it'd be fantastic because, as Ben said there, wherever you go, everyone stands up anyway most of the time. Mm-hmm. So there's no real change there, but it's best to be safe than sorry.
Yeah, just what the lad said. When you go to the away games and no one sits down, Stu, and the atmosphere is electric, and you just keep going for the full 90 minutes. So it's perfect. If it works, that'll be perfect.
Yeah, because a lot of it, obviously in other countries, Germany and so on, there is loads and loads of safe standing. It is possible to do it. And I think it would help the atmosphere as well. Already the sort of the singing section as well, things like that have helped the atmosphere at Old Trafford. Do you think the atmosphere at Old Trafford's been? I mean, the atmosphere against City, for instance, was brilliant in that last game we played at Old Trafford, wasn't it? I mean, I think the atmosphere is getting better. Would you reckon?
I think the players have got a lot to say for that. As we've just heard Phil say, it's starting to become a place where you're enjoying watching your football, and with that comes the fans' involvement, and it's a really, really exciting place to be at the moment at Old Trafford.
Yeah. I think we should get Stu one of them. Do you know, like when the other teams, you have a leader, he don't watch the game and he's just giving out the songs. Go on, son.
Yeah.
Could cause a bit of havoc, though.
Surely we can get Alan Keegan to do that, no?
On the mic. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Oh, I think the atmosphere has actually improved a lot. But anyway, well, hopefully that experiment will work well when eventually we get back to football with a crowd at Old Trafford. Before we go, just to mention the match rewind vote. I think all the lads voted for the Barcelona 1-0 Skulls, but I think the actual Milan 3-2, the semi-final where Wayne Rooney scores a 90th minute winner, is the one that you're going to get to see in full later on this evening. Friday's programme, quite simply, we've got one of the greatest players to ever wear a red shirt on it. Brian Robson is joining us. And fingers crossed, Paddy will be involved somehow. We're trying to work through a technological solution. Hopefully we'll get there. So certainly Robbo, could be Robbo and Paddy. So make sure you're watching that. And if you've got any questions for Robbo, MUTV@manunited.co.uk. MUTV@manunited.co.uk. All right, that's just about it from us. Thanks to Phil for joining us, and thanks to you guys. See you tomorrow for the last show and our 25th show. Our 25th show of the lockdown. Time flies when you're having fun, boys, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Is it still the quiz, Stu, tomorrow?
Well, the problem is, if we have Robbo and Paddy, I'm not sure we'd be able to squeeze this. I've got the quiz ready to go, but we might have to do it next week. But it is ready to go. I know you keep looking. Ben's furious, isn't it? That's his highlight of his week. Look at him. Highlight of his week. So
it's the only thing I've ever won.
You won Weight Watchers.
There we go.
Sorry, pal.
Anyway, we'll see you tomorrow, everybody.